The Nigerian Ports Authority became the landlord of all the seaports across the country through the Port Concession Scheme embarked upon by the federal government in 2006. One of the obligations of the NPA in the concession agreement is the provision of port infrastructure. The directorate responsible for the provision and maintenance of port infrastructure at the NPA is the Engineering and Technical Services Directorate. On this edition of the Axis, our special focus is on the major projects being executed by the Directorate in order to create an enabling environment for business to thrive at the ports and jetties. We shall also feature the visit of the House Committee on Marine Transport to the Lekki Deep Sea Port at Ibeju Lekki, Lagos. Welcome to the Axis, where we examine the port as the axis of the Nigerian economy. I am Tola Alade. Stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. It's nice to have you back on the program. Now to a special focus on the implementation of NPA's capital projects. The Axis recently had an exclusive interview with the Executive Director, Engineering and Technical Services, Engineer Mohammed Sani Sali, where he spoke extensively on the projects handled by the Directorate, some of which include the rehabilitation of common user roads and rail lines at Apapa Port and the reconstruction of dilapidated quay walls and jetties. The Nigerian Ports Authority has three important directorates. One of them is the Engineering and Technical Services Directorate. The core function of the Directorate is the provision and maintenance of basic port infrastructure for the authority. As part of its efforts to provide the needed infrastructure for port users in line with the concession agreement, the Engineering and Technical Services Directorate of the NPA has executed many capital projects. Some of the projects include the upgrading of berthing facilities, reconstruction of dilapidated quay walls and jetties, and rehabilitation of roads and rail lines within the Lagos Port Complex. The head of the Directorate is Engineer Mohammed Sani Sali. He works tirelessly with other key officers of the Directorate to ensure that NPA provides quality service to port users. In this interview with the Axis, the Executive Director gives a detailed explanation on the rehabilitation of the quay wall and apron at the Tinkan Island port. He stated that the rehabilitation of the Tinkan Island quay wall is the most important project NPA has recently handled. He said, without quay walls, ships will not be able to berth at any terminal, and the use of heavy cargo handling equipment for loading and offloading of cargoes from ship will be impossible.
The singular most important project is the quay wall and quay apron, which has now been, touched for close to a century. It is remarkable that government has sunk so much money, quite in excess of 20 billion naira, to rehabilitate this facility, considering that it is the one most important facility in every port, because it's a breakwater. It checks against wave action when ships are coming into the channel. If the breakwaters are not there, you cannot be sure of the stability of vessels coming into the channel or even berthing safely at the docks.
The four terminals whose quay walls and aprons were rehabilitated are Joseph Dam Terminal with 484 meters comprising berths 1 and 2, the Tinkan Island Container Terminal, TICT, with 775 meters comprising berths 3, 4 and 5, Ports and Cargo Terminal with 795 meters comprising berths 6, 7 and 8, and 5-star logistics with 450 meters comprising berths 9 and 10. A total of 2.6 kilometers of quay were rehabilitated by the MPA. The rehabilitation of the 1.6 kilometers of the common user road located at the Lagos Port Complex, Apapa, is one of the most significant projects MPA has completed. The road, which is dual carriage, has 3 lanes each. The road is the main access to 3 terminals, namely AP Mola Container Terminal, APMT, Apapa Bulk Terminal Limited, ABTL, and ENL Consortium Limited.
The 1.6 kilometer road, which cost in excess of 3 billion naira, is 100% completed, and it is improving the flow of traffic in our ports.
Another remarkable project completed by the MPA is a rehabilitation of the rail lines within the Lagos Port Complex, Apapa. The executive director stated that the rail lines were reconstructed as part of government's effort to rehabilitate dilapidated port facilities. He stressed further that the rail link at the Apapa port has been connected to the national grid of the Nigerian Railway Corporation. He also noted that the functional rail lines have made it possible for cargoes to be moved from the Lagos port to other parts of the country.
On weekly basis now, goods are transported from Apapa port to Kaduna, and it can go even up to Kano, because I understand that this government has finished the rehabilitation of the rail network from Lagos to Kano, which means goods from Apapa can go up to Kano straight without any hitches on railways. So we have 6 ports in all. It is our vision to link all of them to the Nigerian Railway, because it will ease the burden on our roads, and it will make for evacuation of huge amount of cargo within a relatively short time.
Executive Director also spoke on some other projects that require priority attention.
The Marina Jetty here is, in a state of dilapidation. We've included it in the budget against 2014, and it's going to be taken care of. Many other jetties that have problem or key aprons that are giving in, we try to rescue with immediate effect. The 4th phase of the port development program in One has been approved and is ongoing. I was really amazed by the extent of work done so far within this reasonably short time. There are encroachments here and there in some of the ports, so we are trying to demarcate and fence our properties, our land, so in order to check against this encroachment. There are projects that are being undertaken currently to, like the service lane towards the Tinkan Island port. So most of the port approaches, the contracts have been awarded in order to smoothen the roads and ensure flow of traffic without hitches, in order to evacuate the ports the more. We are trying to, in partnership with private investors, get adequate truck terminals, so that at least the congestion in the ports will be less.
Speaking further, the executive director said that the reconstruction of the Bullnose facilities, handled in collaboration with the Eco Support Services, will increase ship berthing capacity when completed.
We are also embarking on other development, coastal developments of developing facilities. Take, for instance, the Bullnose project. This is a project that is expected to increase berthing facility by over 400 or 500 meters, and stacking area by about 17,000 square meters. I think that is remarkable. It is being done in conjunction with private investors.
The executive director, who expressed satisfaction with the quality of engineering work carried out on most of the port projects, said the construction of new infrastructure and the maintenance of the existing ones have resulted in an increase in efficiency at the ports. He also reiterated the MPA's commitment to the training of its workforce. He stressed that the training and retraining of staff will further improve the productivity level of staff.
We have the routine hardcore training, which is done by MPA, and we have training in some of our joint venture agreements. So, and even some projects come with training packages. So all this is to ensure that sound and competent personnel are handling the affairs of the authority.
Thanks for staying tuned to the program. The House Committee on Marine Transport recently visited the Lekki Deep Seaport in Lagos. The purpose of the visit was to assess and get first-hand information on the progress of the development of the port. The construction of the Lekki Deep Seaport is one of the government's efforts to provide a solution to the persistent port congestion at the Lagos ports. The core functions of the House Committee on Marine Transport include lawmaking, presentation, and oversight. As part of their oversight function, the committee recently visited the site of the proposed Lekki Deep Seaport located at the Lekki Free Trade Zone, Ibeju-Lekki, in order to get adequate information on the development of the seaport. The operators of the Lekki port were glad to receive the honorable members of the committee, who were accompanied by the Executive Director of Engineering, MPA. The Executive Director of Engineering, Engineer Mohammed Sani Saleh, represented the Managing Director of the Nigerian Ports Authority. After a brief explanation of the prototype of the Lekki Deep Seaport to the honorable members, the operators of the port had an interactive session with their guests where the presentation of the different stages of the development of the seaport was made. The legal counsel to the Lekki Port Enterprise, who gave a detailed presentation, explained that the idea to develop the Lekki Deep Seaport was conceived as a result of a critical need to construct a deeper draft seaport which will provide the solution to the problem of congestion experienced at the Lagos ports. She also stated that the Lekki Deep Seaport will be the deepest in West Africa and will have 3 berths, which will be sufficient to handle 8,000 TEUs vessels.
There's a capacity constraint in the present Lagos port, which is situated in Apapa. There's limitation of the draft, the storage area and equipment. There's also expansion and road access limitation. It's just one road to Apapa. It's a residential area. It's fully built up. There's a potential safety hazards, especially because of the petrochemical input there. So what we are trying to do, what our own objective is to bridge that projected demand and capacity gap. And the way we look at it, if we're able to bring this port to life, we will be able to accommodate larger vessels. There will be optimized storage area. There's ease of expansion. You can see all the land around us. There will be modern equipment tailor-built for a port of this stature and nature.
She also highlighted some of the benefits of the Lekki Port project.
70,000 jobs will be created from the port operation over the life of the project. Approximately $20 billion will be spent on employee salaries. That's not all. We're talking significant tax revenue will come to the federal government and the state government. We're talking about $200 billion. Catalytic economic impact, what will happen globally, totally for us, with direct and induced business revenue of $158 billion. Qualitative impact on manufacturing, trade, and commercial services sector. We're very excited about this, and we're really honored that if this comes to life, we will help to grow our country to greater heights.
After listening to the presentation made by the Lekki Port operators, the Chairman, House Committee on Marine Transport, said although the port project will contribute to the growth of the Nigerian economy, the Parliament still need to critically assess the documents for the development of the Lekki Deep Seaport.
MPA's commitment to equity is key and vital to this project. As a Parliament, that's why we're here. We've asked them to let us see some documents. When they comply, we'll take it on from there. But I think it will add value to the maritime sector.
Engineer Mohammed Sani Saleh restated MPA's commitment to the development of the Lekki Deep Seaport. He also stated the benefits of the project.
MPA is really very deeply committed. There is no way we are part of government. government, the Federal Executive Council has approved this project. Ours is to implement, and we're doing everything possible to ensure implementation. It has a multiplier effect in that it will decongest our present ports and it will allow far bigger vessels to call at our ports. It will inject through the concession period not less than 360 billion US dollars into our economy.
The executive director of Lekki Port Enterprise, Mr. John Mastrods, who expressed delight in the visit of the House Committee on Marine Transport, said the support of the federal government will be needed to successfully complete the project.
I am very happy that government is interested in what we're doing. I think Parliament, which they are, is also important that they know what we are doing, how far we are, because they are the ones who are going to help us really bring this port to fruition. And this is not a port that belongs to anybody, it belongs to the country. It's a very, very big project, and it's for me it is the most important thing to be able to create wealth in Nigeria.
The construction of the Lekki Deep Sea Port commenced in September 2012, while the Federal Executive Council approval of the project was received by the operators in December 2013. The House Committee on Marine Transport paid a courtesy visit to the management of the Nigerian Ports Authority at the authority's corporate headquarters in Marina in order to deliberate on issues affecting the maritime sector. Welcome back. The Lagos Port Complex in Apapa is the first and largest port in Nigeria. Most of the imports come into the country through this port. The port manager of the Lagos Port Complex, Mr. Nasir Anas Mohammed, in an interview with the Axis, spoke on the effort of the management of NPA to address the challenges of the port. He also spoke on NPA's effort to make the port more efficient and customer-friendly. The Apapa Port in Lagos is Nigeria's earliest and largest seaport. The port, which was established in 1913, is located at the Apapa area of Lagos, southwest of Nigeria. It occupies a total land area of over 120 hectares. The Apapa Port handles a wide range of goods and contains facilities specialized in handling general, bulk, and containerized cargoes. The container terminal at the Apapa Port is capable of handling up to 20,000 TEUs of containerized cargoes. The Nigerian Ports Authority is a government agency that controls the operations and management of the port. The port is considered a security area, and as such, the NPA ensures that certain measures are put in place to guarantee the safety of port users. In this exclusive interview with the Axis, the port manager of the Lagos Port Complex, Mr. Nasir Anas Mohammed, who is in charge of port management at the complex, provides an insight into some of the measures put in place by the MP to tackle the problem of human and vehicular traffic around the port area.
We engage other stakeholders who have equal responsibility in ensuring security around the port. For example, the Port Authority Police of the Nigerian Police, the NPA Security, and of course other stakeholders who participate in ensuring that we control the human and vehicular traffic. Also, we have been using some other measures, including liaising with the terminals as to when and how to get importers to come into the port. We have also deployed port pass for people coming into the port. Without the port pass, you are not supposed to get into the port. And the port pass will only be issued to you based on application, which will be certified by the security department to ascertain, yes, you are a genuine agent who has business to do in the port. And based on that, you will be issued with a regulated number of port passes so that you are workers can come into the port to do whatever business they want to do. We're involving the Apapa local government as well. We want to also get other stakeholders from the state, Lagos state government, including the LASMA, including the Federal Road Safety, so that anything to do with vehicular traffic outside the port, they also come in to assist and to also play their role.
On the issue of the provision of adequate security at the waterfront and various terminals, the port manager said MPA is collaborating with the Nigerian Navy and Marine Police to patrol the waterside, while the terminal operators provide security at their terminals in line with the International Ship and Port Facility Security ISPS code.
At the various terminals, they are in charge of their respective securities. They provide their own security and ensure that everything goes on well. Under the ISPS arrangement, there are various levels of compliance, and the Apapa port is fully compliant. So that's from the land side. From the water side also, there is the Nigerian Police Patrol. We also have the Navy supporting us, and I know the Nigerian Ports Authority management is also working hard towards empowering some of these organizations like the Navy and the police with other tools and equipment to continue to patrol the BAT area, the channel area, so that we don't also experience any breaches of security from the water side.
One of the gains of the port concession is the improved turnaround time of vessels and cargo throughput. The port manager noted that the increase in the volume of trade and the development of port infrastructure by the MPA and the terminal operators is a pointer to the fact that the port concession has made tremendous impact on the growth of the industry.
A lot has gone in between 2006 and now in terms of the infrastructural development at the various terminals, and the concession has translated into a great improvement in terms of cargo throughput. It has also helped also in the ship traffic, because a lot of vessels are coming in now in greater numbers than they were coming before. The turnaround time of vessel has gone so good. The time that they used to spend now, they spend far less than that time. For container vessel, I think it's barely 1 day thereabout, and on average, the other vessels not more than 2 days, 3 days at most. Even for tankers that come to discharge petroleum products, 2 days, 3 days, they are done with.
The port manager also spoke on MPA's efforts to tackle the menace of truck drivers who park indiscriminately in the port, as well as the port access roads.
The port is not just for trucks carrying container. It's also meant for trucks carrying general cargo from other terminals as well. So we have received complaints from other terminals that they are being inconvenienced, or their customers are being inconvenienced. But even without such complaints, we know what is the right thing to do. We don't expect you to take your container, especially from the terminal, APMT, and then you come out and you leave your truck because you have not concluded between the agent and the truck driver, they have not concluded on the arrangements of payment. The port and the road is not meant for parking overnight. So obviously we have to challenge you. We advise you to move your truck. If you are recalcitrant, then we take the punitive measure of locking your truck. It's not what we desire, because by locking we have demobilized you and invariably create some other challenge for other trucks coming out of the port. We are also looking at some genuine complaints which we are considering with the custom service, with the custom area controller here, to see how we can improve the process. Because if you can finish all your documentation from the terminal, then you don't need to do any documentation at the gate. What we expect the gate to serve, both for MPA and custom in the long run, is just for tallying. You take the number and the truck goes out. But what obtains now is there is still some documentation, custom documentation, that takes place at the gate.
Speaking further on the menace of truck drivers, the port manager said there is the need for terminal operators to set a minimum standard for truck owners that patronize the port in order to discourage the use of rickety trucks to move cargo out of the port.
We have cases, trucks will pick a container and as they are moving out, they tilt for one reason or the other, even for the sheer weight, even for the fact that their chassis or their carriage is weak. So they tilt over and they create problem for us. And we continuously engage the terminals to ensure that such trucks meet minimum standards so that they don't either break down inside the terminal or break down within the port or even break down in transit to their final destination. Because it should be of interest to us, both the port and the terminals, that anybody who carries his cargo from the port should comfortably get it delivered to the final destination.
If you're just joining us, this is the Axis of the Nigerian economy. Please be reminded that you can watch the program on our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/theaxis2014. It's now time to bring you the shipping position. 24 vessels arrived at the Lagos Piloted District. One arrived with bags of fertilizer, one came with ethanol, one with raw sugar, one with crude palm oil, 4 with general cargo, one came with bags of rice, and one with steel products. One arrived with bags of gypsum, 3 with containers, 1 with bags of fish, 8 with various petroleum products, while 1 came in ballast. A total of 58 vessels are expected at the Lagos Piloted District. 1 to arrive with bags of malt, 5 with general cargo, 11 with bags of rice, 1 with used vehicles, and 9 with various petroleum products. 6 vessels came in with bags of wheat, 1 with sugar, another 1 with steel products, 15 with containers, 1 with bags of fertilizer, while 5 mantle tankers are waiting to berth. That's the shipping position for this week. It's a wrap on this week's episode of the program. You can send your comments, questions, and suggestions to theaxis2014@yahoo.com. You can also watch the program on our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/theaxis2014. Until we come your way again, same time, same station, for another exciting package of the program. Have a great week.